Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to everybody who has joined in. I'm Akanksha Shukla, your moderator for the event, and I'm the product manager at mastertrust. We all have gathered today to celebrate the completion of 37 years of legacy of mastertrust. This journey has been nothing but spectacular. During this course, the group has diversified into various verticals, adding long list of accolades into its profile. We have grown as a company and stood strong in an ever-changing industry like ours. Not only the past has been a milestone, but we are also excited to see what the future holds for us, and I'm sure it is going to be a remarkable journey. I'm privileged to share the forum with the veterans of the field. It is going to be an interesting discussion, and I'm sure everybody will have some takeaways from the session, some key takeaways. So please feel free to drop in your questions in the Q&A section, and that will be taken up at the end. I will quickly introduce the panelists for the day. Our first panelist is Mr. Manish Bhandari, who is the CEO and Principal Portfolio Manager at Vallum Capital. Manish has an experience of more than 2 decades in the Indian capital markets and has co-founded Vallum Capital, an investment management and advisory firm in 2010. Prior to Vallum, he worked as a VP and Portfolio Manager Equities with ING Management India and is a regular contributor to various financial publications in India and abroad. Our second panelist is Mr. Varinder Bansal, founder Omkara Capital, incorporated in 2020. He has over 15 years of rich work experience in equity research. Prior to founding Omkara Capital, he was a managing partner at Pantomath Asset Management, and prior to which he was a corporate editor and head of research at CNBC TV18. Mr. Bansal holds a degree in MSc Finance and MBA in Finance. A warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
Our third panelist is Mr. Harjeet Arora, who is the Managing Director of Mastertrust. He founded Mastertrust Group in 1985 and has more than 45 years of experience in corporate finance, capital markets, and financial advisory services. A CA and a CS by qualification, his vision of bringing all financial services under one roof has made the group achieve so much in the last 37 years. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Sir. Moving on, our fourth panelist for the day is Mr. Chawla, who is director at Mastertrust. With over 30 years of experience in capital markets and corporate finance, Mr. Chawla runs the portfolio management and merchant banking verticals at Mastertrust. An engineer and an MBA by qualification, he has been an activist in the entrepreneurship environment as an angel investor. He has also mentored many startups for a long time now. So welcome all the panelists and look forward to the discussions that we're going to have. Before we start, I would just quickly like to welcome Mr. Chawla and Mr. Arora, and I would want them to speak a little bit, as we start this webinar. So please, Mr. Arora.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Akanksha.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, congratulations, because we are celebrating 37th year of foundation of Mastertrust Group. I would like to have a couple of minutes to cover the journey of this 37 years. In 1985, we started, and the main focus of management has been to build a very strong, dedicated and competent team, as well as the infrastructure, and work on the working environment and working condition for our team. The growth has been very steady, slow and steady. And with time, we have been changing. We have seen era of physical trading, manual trading, to this online trading, physical shares to demat shares. Earlier, our volume was mainly on regional stock chain like Ludhiana and Delhi. But with changing time, the NSE came, National Stock Chain, Bombay Stock Chain improved. We diversified into commodity, currency, and the thrust has been mainly on improving the technology. In addition to this, the focus was also to provide the best possible service to the customers, to our business partners. In the process, we always tried to improve the technology, diversify into algo trading, improve our proprietary desk also. The thrust was to make the technology more customer friendly. So as far as this market, the stock market is concerned, I would like, because we'll be covering in detail later on, in my opinion, in my experience, this asset has been the best performing asset. Whenever we were new, when the Nifty was introduced in 1996, it was valued at about 1,000. And recently we have seen it touching 18,000. That means 18 times in 25 years. I think no asset class, no other asset class has given this return. In addition to return, it is very easy to handle this asset, as well as it is very tax efficient. No other assets, say real estate, gold, debt, bonds, etc., has given this much return. Recently, in 2017, this Nifty was about 10,000. Again, if we see for 4 years, a return of 80% was there. After the outbreak of pandemic, we saw a crash, but it was very temporary. In a same period of month, it improved from the Nifty improved from 7,500 to 18,000 in just 20 months, and Sensex from 25,000 to 62,000. Now again, we have seen a correction, say 14-15% in the last 3-4 months. This is not new, We had been experiencing this in last journey of this 37 years. People talk, there is a lot of noise on, inflation, rate of interest hike. But in my opinion, these things get neutralized over a period of time. It is not India specific. It is a global phenomenon. If we see recently, say 50% of the NASDAQ listed company have corrected about 50%. And comparatively, in India market, 30% of the listed company have corrected about 50%. So this market is now more or less globalized. International factors, rate cut in US, rate the say war and other economic factors affects the all markets. But if we have, say, a very rational approach to this market, which of course we are going to discuss in detail later on. So this is one of the best, as I said, best asset class. And my experience is that it has rewarded our customer, the general investors, very handsomely in these years. Thank you very much, and over to Kasha to continue the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And in fact, as we were discussing about the markets that have happened, I cannot help but quote Mr. Vladimir Lenin. He once said that, there are decades when nothing happened, and then there are weeks when decades happen. So this entire month has been a witness to an event like this, with the uncertainty surrounding global markets on the back of energy crisis, inflationary pressure, overstretched Russia-Ukraine war, supply chain disruption. It resulted to a supply chain disruption, steep rise in commodity prices, rising interest rate globally and domestically. I think the investor sentiments somewhere have taken a little bit of hit. So today's topic of discussion comfortably sits between how much of this factors in long term and what is our equity outlook from here on. So without any further delay, I would like to initiate the discussion with the first question. Stock markets have given a high return, very high returns over the past few years. What will be your take on current scenario, and what should be an investor's strategy right now? If Manish, please, you can go ahead with the discussion.
Thank you, Akansha, for this. Thank you, and my congratulations to everyone at Master Trust for being 37 years of bonding together for the team, as well as for all the associates who have joined together today. So my heartiest congratulations. Referring to your question, the stock market, as Mr. Arora said, he has seen from 37 and 45 years of experience on the table, as well as 37 years of dealing with the clients at the Master Trust. So it's a very long-term journey. It's not a short-term game. It's a long-term journey, and also the people need to have a fair expectation. What is the expectation with the equity is that it will not deliver you. It will not deliver you a linear returns like a bond market. So what we have seen today is a correction and the blip in the system. We have seen many times in the past where the markets are corrected by 10-15% and again resume their journey. And this is again a set course correction which happens in the process, and then again you go for the journey again. What we have today on our hand is today a very solid economy. If I have to look at it from my last 2 decades of experience, look at from 2014 onwards to 2016, we had a demonetization, we had a GST, then we had ILFS crisis, then COVID-1 and COVID-2, and finally the economy just kept on consolidating and consolidating. And today from 2019 onwards, you see everything has been ushered to bring back economy to the right levels, including a real negative interest rate by this government. Usually the NDA government is not known for the real negative interest rate, but at least to revive the economy, they took a lesser course path to go on the real negative interest rate, which revived the whole real estate sector in the last 18 months. The inventory got sold, liquidated, the money started flowing back into the markets, I mean to say in the economy as a whole. And you have a tax cuts, you have a PLI schemes, everything put together. So we are talking about, from a future perspective, a very solid economy, a very sound economy, very strong sitting on the very strong pedestal. But for all the investors, I wanted to bring one point. So market has 2 legs. One is the economic momentum, and the second leg is the liquidity. So what you have till now for last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, a very loose liquidity situation in the process. And now we are seeing the course correction and the liquidity. The market will go through some kind of adjustment period for next to maybe 3-4 months or so, where the whole liquidity cycle will find its own way, and will be tightening of liquidity from the domestic, from the international market, but reminding itself that the market will also remind itself that economy is on very solid footing. So you have some companies which will not do well and set of companies which will do well, but anyone who would stay on the course would be a winner in the process. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Manish, for that. And if we can also know, Varinder, your view on the same question. How do you take the investment strategy should be here from here on?
Well, thank you, Akansha, and congratulations to Master Trust and the entire team for 37 years and many, many more to come. So I will try to put simply, because most of the points you and Manish sir has already covered. If I can speak in English and Hindi put together. So we all know that Akansha, you mentioned about all the issues which are happening locally, globally, Russia, Ukraine, blah blah blah. Manish sir, of course, mentioned how strong India is on the wicket. But I think, to be honest, I personally believe, after talking to a lot of people, clients, corporates, and everyone, I think investment has to be disciplined in case you have to earn money. I think we just, the basic things are not being followed in the market, and then we blame to a lot of things, because it's very easy to blame. So, क्या stock लेना है, ये सबको जानना है. क्यों stock लेना है, ये किसी को जानना नहीं है. The basic principles, the basic principles हम follow नहीं करते हैं. And one thing I have always told my clients, myself again and again, it is not only about stocks, it is about allocation. Investing trading बन जाता है और trading investment बन जाता है. ये छोटी-छोटी चीजें हैं जो गलती बार-बार करते हैं. अच्छे स्टॉक में कभी पैसा नहीं जाता, बुरा स्टॉक हमेशा पैसा लेके जाता है. So if you are focused, अगर आपको लगता है कि India will be $5 trillion economy as Modi says, not because I'm a Modi bhakt, but अगर आपको लगता है $5 trillion economy 2027, 28, 29, 30 में बन जाएगी, then you are thinking कि यार आज जो 300 लाख करोड़ का हमारा जीडीपी है, एटलीस्ट 200 लाख करोड़ अगले 10 साल में बन जाएगा. It's a simple calculation that market cap to GDP is 1 in developing economies and 1.5 times in other economies. Whatever said and done, but there is a chance that in India you will see 200 lakh crores of market cap being created in the next 10 years. Now you have to say कि अगर 200 लाख करोड़ economy और market cap बढ़ता है, तो where you have to place yourself? Tell me one single sector which has grown this way. You have to position yourself in sectors where you know कि growth आएगा. You pick 2 sectors, 3 sectors, 4 sectors, whichever way you think, और उसमें allocation सही करो. Allocation सही करो मतलब अगर मेरे पास 100 रुपया है तो मुझे 80%, बिकॉज देखो ट्रेडिंग सबको करना है, खेलना सबको है, मस्ती सबको करनी है, दैट इज पार्ट एंड पार्सल, राइट. बट 80% और 85% और 70% व्हाटएवर वे यू आर इन्वेस्टर, क्योंकि रिस्क एपेटाइट आपको ही पता आपका कितना है, तो वो 70-80% इतना स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए, एंड यू शुड नो व्हाई यू इन्वेस्टिंग इन दैट सिंगल सेक्टर और अ स्टॉक. इशू क्या होता है, 20% तो वो अच्छे स्टॉक्स में जाता है और 80% वो सब वो आइडिया हुआ, येस बैंक हुआ, सुजलॉन हुआ, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, सब स्टॉक्स में चला जाता है. सो इट इज नॉट अ रॉकेट साइंस, इट इज नॉट इजी ऑल्सो, बट एलोकेशन पे कोई ध्यान नहीं देता. तो हम मैक्रो के कितना भी बात कर ले, ट्रस्ट मी, यू एंड मी एंड नो वन नोज कि मैक्रो में क्या होगा. अब सर ने बोला, हरजीत जी ने बोला कि 37 साल में 45 साल में इनको पता है कि सब चीजें ठीक ही हो जाती है. But still, I will say कि I have to take into account if inflation is high, interest rates are high, which sector will get benefited and which not. So we study these companies, understand these companies कि क्यों लेना है, it is very important, और allocation सही करना है. I am very worried that people don't allocate properly, and they don't follow simple principles of investing, which will kill them even if it's a bull market. And I've seen that even in a bull market you will underperform, you will never make money. और प्लीज टीवी देखना बंद करो अगर आपको पैसा बनाना है.
That was a good one, Varinder. So that actually, in fact, brings me to my next question. Inflation has become that genie out of the bottle, which is not just going.
I would like to add to few things to the first question. Sorry.
No problem, sir.
I will share my experience a little bit. So, as Varinder ji and Manish, they were saying, in my opinion, लोग जो आते हैं हमारे ऑफिस में या हमारे से बात करते हैं, वो कहते हैं यार कोई ऐसा स्टॉक बताओ जो 2-3 टाइम हो जाए विद इन 6 months. So my view, my advice to all of them will be that if we expect say return of 15% per annum, which is not bad, and in addition to this, we have to understand the power of compounding. If you're compounding your money with 15% per annum, I think it can be a very huge amount over a period of time. If we say 20 or 25 years, I have seen myself. So one is the expectation. So if you expect, say, I have to make 100% per year, so that will be foolish on your part. So if you are stable, because other class, say debt funds, they give hardly 6-7% per annum. So that you have to set your goal. Rational. And as Varinder said, you have to be invested in good stocks. Of course, take proper advice from the analysts, from the consultants. बाकी जो in between inflation हो गया, बढ़ गया, rate of interest बढ़ गया, war हो गया, ये crisis हो गया, these things, they get neutralized over a period of time. So this asset class, in my opinion, is the best. If you see the post-tax return, it is marvelous. And you have to keep, money, conserve your money for time when there's a lot of noise, lot of fear in the market. So you can invest in those times in good stocks. So that will, give you the best.
हरजीत जी, पैसा हमें भी डबल करना है 6 महीने में या 3 महीने में, हमें भी डबल करना है. मेरा पॉइंट है कि उसका एलोकेशन कम रखो, वो 1-2% वो चलेगा. वो डबल करने के चक्कर में वो एलोकेशन 5 या 10% या कुछ भी हो जाता है उसमें. और होता है,
my advice is कि ये टिप के पीछे जाना is suicidal.
और मैंने देखा है सर, मार्केट जब ऊपर जाता है ना, तो सब लोग बोलते हैं अच्छा इसमें मुझे 10-20% बढ़ रहा है, पहले वो बेच दो, जो लॉस वाला स्टॉक भी बेचता नहीं है कोई. So I'm telling you simple things, वो because लॉस हो रहा है, ये नहीं पूछ रहे लॉस क्यों हो रहा है, because the companies are not performing and they will never perform. But वो एक्चुअली ट्रेडिंग वाला स्टॉक वो फोर्स्ड लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट बन जाता है, और बैठा रहता है वो.
And in fact, I will agree to the discussion that, and I think that is why some, being having an advisor around the corner so that he can help you with your, actual allocation where it should be. That is where even your RM plays a great role. Moving on to my next question, as I was discussing that the inflation is likely to be a big threat to the equity markets, looking at the numbers that have come for March and April, and the band in which the RBI wanted to keep inflation. I would like to know which sectors will be impacted the most and how to navigate this. If we can start with Manish, with your opinions.
Yeah, so Akansha, all the narratives या जो भी आज दिन तक इन्फ्लेशन के बारे में बात की गई थी कि वो साइक्लिकल है, थोड़े दिन में चला जाएगा, which is not the case. अगर आप ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी का आर्किटेक्चर देखें, दो चीजें बहुत बड़ी हुई है. एक तो जो लास्ट के 15 सालों में हमने डिफ्लेशन देखा था, लो इन्फ्लेशन जिसे मैं बोल सकता हूँ, वो आया था चाइना की वजह से. चाइना वाज सप्लाइंग चीप लेबर, दे वर रेडी टू वर्क फॉर अ लोअर कॉस्ट. तो पूरे ग्लोबली एक डिफ्लेशनरी सिचुएशन क्रिएट हुआ. और अब वो रिवर्स हो रहा है क्योंकि चाइना में द कॉस्ट ऑफ मैन पावर हैज गॉन अप सब्सटेंशियली एंड हमने बड़े लॉकडाउन्स देखे हैं अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. और दूसरा कारण हो गया है सप्लाई साइड डिस्ट्रप्शन. सो जब सप्लाई साइड डिस्ट्रप्शन, देयर आर डिफरेंट वेज, एक डिमांड साइड डिस्ट्रप्शंस होते हैं, एक सप्लाई साइड डिस्ट्रप्शंस होते हैं. तो इन्फ्लेशन काफी लंबे टाइम तक रहेगा. और इसी वजह से आपने फेडरल रिजर्व की कमेंट्री में थोड़ा चेंज देखा, एज वेल एज इंडिया में भी आपने चेंज देखा. सडनली 2 बजे आके आरबीआई को समझ आया कि नहीं, हमें तो अभी इंटरेस्ट रेट कमी करनी, ऊपर शुरू करनी पड़ेगी, और ये तो एक लंबी साइकिल है. सारे उनके कमेंट्स यही है कि एक लंबी साइकिल है ये. सो इन्फ्लेशन हिट्स द डिफरेंट पीपल, डिफरेंट क्लास ऑफ पीपल वेरी डिफरेंटली. पुअर को ज्यादा हिट करता है और कुछ बेसिक कमोडिटीज को ज्यादा हिट हुआ है. इस बार फूड इन्फ्लेशन बहुत ज्यादा है. सो नटशेल के अंदर द एसेट क्लास से अगर हम देखें तो बॉन्ड्स को सबसे ज्यादा फर्क पड़ता है इन्फ्लेशन से. और उसके बाद देयर आर पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर्स हु आर बेनिफिशियरी ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन, देयर आर सेक्टर्स व्हिच आर लूजर्स ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन. फाइनली नेट में इक्विटी को ओवर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम में इन्फ्लेशन से गेन होता है, क्योंकि इक्विटी में जो कंपनीज होती हैं, जो अच्छी कंपनीज होती है, वो इन्फ्लेशनरी इफेक्ट को पास ऑन भी कर सकती हैं किसी न किसी प्रोसेस से. सो अब अगले 1-2 महीने 3 महीने के अंदर हमें ये क्लैरिटी हो जाएगी. देयर इज एनर्जी इन्फ्लेशन कुछ कंपनियां पास कर पाएगी, कुछ कंपनियां पास नहीं कर पाएगी. कहीं पे गवर्नमेंट पास करने दे रही है, कहीं उन्हें पास नहीं करने दे रही है. तो ये पूरे प्रोसेस से निकलकर कुछ सेट ऑफ कंपनीज विल बिकम अ विनर इन दिस प्रोसेस एंड सम सेट ऑफ सेक्टर्स विल बिकम लूजर इन द प्रोसेस. सो ये बड़ा 3-4 महीने का 5 महीने का फेज रहेगा, क्योंकि कंपनीज को प्रोडक्ट प्राइसेस बढ़ाने में 2-4 महीने लग जाते हैं, इन्वेंट्री गेन्स होते हैं, इन्वेंट्री लॉसेस आते हैं. सो पूरा एक लंबा एडजस्टमेंट का प्रोसेस है जिसके अंदर इन्फ्लेशनरी इफेक्ट का पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव रहता है. मैं एक सेक्टर बोल सकता हूँ जहां पे इन्फ्लेशन का पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट रहेगा, वो होते हैं जो टोल रूट्स होते हैं. इसके अंदर इनके पास इन्फ्लेशन इंडेक्स रहता है इन्फ्लेशन को पास ऑन करने का. तो इन्फ्लेशन ज्यादा होता है तो टोल्स ओवर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम थोड़े ज्यादा बढ़ जाते हैं. सो दैट इज वन सेक्टर जहां पे इन्फ्लेशन पास काफी गवर्नमेंट के रेगुलेटेड वे के अंदर बिल्कुल हो पाता है.
Varinder, also if we can know your views on the same.
See, I'm not a macro analyst, I'm a micro analyst. तो मनीष सर ने तो ज्यादा अच्छे से समझा दिया आपको. I am a very simple analyst in a way कि I invest in company because businesses will make money, right? Now businesses कैसे पैसा लगाते हैं, बनाते हैं, because there are companies who knows when to invest in capex, because they understand that the capex big cycle is coming up. So you go back, you see chemicals, pharma, manufacturing, you will understand कि अभी हमने जो केमिकल सेक्टर में ग्रोथ देखा, तो you have to understand वो ग्रॉस ब्लॉक बढ़ा रहे थे सारे के सारा. अभी वो ग्रॉस ब्लॉक जब बढ़ता है, वो पैसा कहाँ से आता है? वो डेट से आता है कि इंटरनल कैश फ्लो से आता है? फोकस ऑन कंपनीज जो इंटरनल कैश फ्लो से पैसा लगाते हैं. Then important is if you go back and see their 10 years, 15 years, 20 years history of gross margins. तो आप तो अभी बात कर रहे हो कि इन्फ्लेशन का तो अभी बात होना चालू हुआ है in the last few days or few months or whatever, बट मैं बोलता हूँ 20 साल जाओ ना, 20 साल में आपको पता चल जाएगा कौन सा कंपनी है जो ग्रॉस मार्जिन मेंटेन करके रखता है। वो उसमें तो बहुत कुछ आ गया था, उसमें तो लड़ाइयां भी आ गई थी, सब कुछ आ गया था, बिकॉज वी ओनली टॉक जो टीवी दिखाता है हमें। टीवी पे बार बार रोज सुबह इन्फ्लेशन का डर कर देते हैं, ठीक है, गो बैक टू 20 years ना एंड सी कि अभी विच आर द कंपनीज who are able to maintain gross margins. So we are looking for companies who have been building gross blocks from internal cash flows, keeping the working capital cycle very very tight. उनको पता है कि उनका पैसा 20 दिन में 30 दिन में आ जाता है, and they have shown gross margins maintained over the last many years to come. So keep it simple, but search for companies जिन्होंने gross block बनाया हुआ है, and when the demand comes, and I don't know when the demand comes, because as Manish said, it's all supply side.
Yeah.
When the demand comes, these are the guys who will have huge operating leverage. जो आपको आज ROCs 10% का दिख रहा है, आपको आगे जाके 20% का 25% का दिखेगा, then आपका price earning multiple भी बढ़ेगा. So for us as an organization, Omkara Capital, we have been very bullish on manufacturing. We are picking manufacturing, industrials whenever we get opportunity. Defense is another sector. बाकी मुझे जो दिखता है कि अगले 2 साल, 5 साल, 10 साल किस सेक्टर के हो सकते हैं, so we are focused on that sectors. जहां हमें दिखता है कि बैलेंस शीट्स बहुत क्लीन है, डेट का इशू ही नहीं है उनको, कैश फ्लोज इतने हैं, हजार करोड़ कैश फ्लोज करता है साल में, तो उनको क्या फर्क पड़ेगा। So again I'm repeating myself कि there are things which are not in our hand. I don't want to think about it. I want to focus कि मुझे ये सारी की सारी चीजें ना, कोविड ने मुझे क्या सिखाया था, that all these uncertainties, whatever you talk about, you gave a very checklist on क्या क्या चल रहा है, इशू चल रहा है, ये everything comes into one thing which is valuation.
Yeah.
वो जब हिंडाल्को 0.2 बुक वैल्यू पे मिलने लगा था ना कोविड में, तब लोग बोलते थे हिंडाल्को तो मर जाएगा, बट यू वर गेटिंग कंपनीज एट 0.1 0.2 बुक वैल्यू. सो एवरीथिंग गेट्स कैप्चर्ड इनटू वन थिंग व्हिच इज वैल्यूएशन. और हमारा काम है सिर्फ वैल्यूएशन को देखना और देखना कि कौन सी कंपनी को धंधा चलाना आता है. अभी मास्टर ट्रस्ट भी तो 37 साल रहा ना, मगर इन्होंने ऊपर नीचे कितना देखा, सब कुछ देखा. अगर आप बोल दो कि ये अरोड़ा जी बोलेंगे अच्छा 6 महीने इन्फ्लेशन ऊपर हो गया, धंधा बंद करो, अच्छा इतने लोगों को निकाल दो, फिर वापस दोबारा आ जाएंगे, ऐसा होता है क्या? इज दिस द वे द बिजनेस आर रन? सो आई थिंक वी आर टू मच फोकस ऑन थिंग्स व्हिच आर नॉट इन आवर हैंड, बट स्क्रीन ज्यादा देखते हैं, पढ़ते कम है.
Thank you, Varinder. On the same question, Mr. Chawla, do you have in particular some sectors which will be impacted the most as per you?
Now, this inflation is also outcome of what is happening in Ukraine and Russia. This is a war impact also. So it's more of cost push inflation also, which is not really impacted the corporates, but the individuals, the business, and also the government. So all the governments world over have to rethink, right? So this is one piece we will have to factor in for a longer period. Maybe then China, Taiwan will start. We'll have to counter that as well. So I think now coming out of the COVID, the governments have matured and the stimuli money was being pulled back, right? And so, but this is a triangle, once the inflation, interest rates, and the dollar, these which are already linked to the oil prices, of course. So if this we have to see from three different angles. I mean, the sectors would be differently affected. The exporters, the importers, then our own, the current account deficits will be accordingly adjusted, right? So I think as Varinder ji said, we have to live with it. Yes, we have to live with it. As Manish ji said, we have to put our money on the right management. I think the other thing I observed during COVID was that people who were, even if highly geared, but they could put their digital platforms and supply chain on time, in short time, they jumped from boys to men. And others who were struggling with the loans or had high gearing could not do that. That will still continue. As the interest rates go up, the problems of people not having a supply chain or not having digitalization or not having scale-up strategies would suffer. But some sectors which might be impacted in the short term, maybe FMCG, auto, real estate, microfinance, these could be affected because people will start thinking, should we postpone? It's going up. Since we have a lot of inventories and there was a good pickup on real estate, I feel the momentum will go on. But if continues, then if the interest rates have to go again, repo has to go up. See, I think what is happening is that what was given as decrease in repos in the COVID time is being dragged back by the government fully well, See, that was the plan. Now, how much that plan can be implemented by the government is we'll come to see. But I think we should look at the government as wise and open and taking corrective actions, right? No, for the investors, it's more like diversifying the risk. How do you diversify your risk across, and the managements, how they're countering these factors. I'm sure government will take more actions like they've already done in fuel. They might do in agriculture infrastructure cess, which they're proposing, they may not impose. So I think all in all the corporate leaders and government are fully involved, and it's a global issue, not a India specific issue.
All right. Thank you, sir. And actually, as we discussed about the sector which will get impacted the most, defensive stocks like pharma and FMCG did generally tend to do well under inflationary phase. Looking at the current market scenario, what is your view on specific sector that are looking good currently? If we can please start with Manish and then follow on with Varinder on the question.
So, Akansha, equity market goes through cycles, but it cannot be the season of the flavor of the season or subway of the day. So, FMCG has got its own limitations. आप अगर पेंट इंडस्ट्री को देखेंगे तो वहां पे कंपटीशन इंटेंसिटी बहुत बढ़ गई है. इस बार इन्फ्लेशन का कॉस्ट पुश इतना ज्यादा रहा, so it will take some time for FMCG also to pass on the inflation. FMCG सेक्टर जब इन्फ्लेशन पास ऑन करता है और इन्फ्लेशन का जो उसके एंड कंज्यूमर है उसके ऊपर भी इम्पैक्ट आता है. सो डिमांड कॉन्ट्रैक्शन भी होता है, which most of the FMCG saying कि रूरल के अंदर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन नजर आ रहा है. ऐसा नहीं कि रूरल एकदम एक्सपैंड हो रहा है. So, and valuation multiples are high, so it can take some more time before the FMCG can recover from this kind of shock. And so is the case in pharma, that pharma is a collection of India business as well as a global business. और global business की competition intensity काफी ज्यादा है, तो it is for me to tell you कि ये inflation effect आ गया है और इसलिए FMCG और pharma खरीदना चाहिए, that will not be a straight jacket answer. हर कंपनीज को इन्फ्लेशन, हर सेक्टर्स को इन्फ्लेशन बहुत अलग तरीके से हिट करता है और उस समय के डायनामिक्स क्या है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो सडनली आप देखिए पेंट इंडस्ट्री के अंदर 5 प्लेयर होते थे और अभी 8 प्लेयर्स होने जा रहे हैं और 8 के शायद हो सकता है 9 हो जाएंगे. So there are new players which are coming in. Diagnostic sector was very consolidated और अभी जैसे ध्यान पड़ रहा है कि डायग्नोस्टिक में भी नए प्लेयर्स आने शुरू हो जाएंगे. सो अगर कोई सेक्टर बहुत अच्छा करता है तो काफी सारी कैपिटल उस सेक्टर को चेज करती है और कंपटीशन इंटेंसिटी बढ़ा देती है. सो देयर आर डिफरेंस विद एज एन इक्विटी ओनर यू वांट टू ओन दैट सेक्टर और एज अ बिजनेसमैन यू आर डूइंग दैट बिजनेस इन दैट सेक्टर. सो कई सारे आदमी अपने अलग अलग तरीके से सोचता है फ्रॉम अ कैश फ्लो एंगल, और आप जैसे आज हमारे पास तो इतना शॉर्ट साइटेडनेस है कि लोग 15 दिन के मार्केट के बाद भी जजमेंट लेने लग गए थे कंपनी पे, और यहाँ पे तो कंपनीज को कई सालों तक साल निकालना है. सो हमेशा कोई भी आंसर ये रह सकता है कि आपका ड्यूरेशन कितना लंबा है. अगर आप मेरे से पूछें कि एफएमसीजी कंपनीज के अंदर वैल्यू बनेगी तो एट द पीक ऑफ द इन्फ्लेशन आपको एफएमसीजी कंपनीज खरीदनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि उस वक्त उनके वैल्यूएशन सबसे ज्यादा डिप्रेस होंगे और उस समय ये सारी मोस्ट ऑफ दीज कंपनीज विल सर्वाइव एंड मोस्ट ऑफ दीज कंपनीज विल थ्राइव मैनीफोल्ड. और उस समय आप कुछ अच्छी एफएमसीजी कंपनीज का पोर्टफोलियो बनाएंगे तो आपको जरूर उसके अंदर पैसा कमाने को मिलेगा. ईच फार्मा कंपनी इज वेरी डिफरेंट. नो टू कंपनीज आर सेम. डॉक्टर रेड्डीज और सन फार्मा दोनों बहुत अलग है, दोनों लार्ज कैप दिखते हैं लेकिन दोनों अलग है. ऐसे ही करके फार्मा के अंदर each company is a sector and industry in itself. So बहुत आदमी को स्टडी करना पड़ेगा before they decide कि कौन सी फार्मा किसका इनोवेशन इंडेक्स ज्यादा हाई है, किसके नए प्रोडक्ट लॉन्चेस हो रहे हैं. तो कोई एक आंसर ऐसा मैं नहीं दे पाऊंगा कि भाई ये सेक्टर आज खरीद लेना चाहिए क्योंकि इन्फ्लेशन आ गया. ऐसा कोई एक आंसर नहीं.
Makes sense, Manish. Thank you. Varinder, if we can know if there is any particular sector as per you that you feel is looking good currently.
See, we have been buying manufacturing since last 2 years. We continue to buy defense. We continue to buy sugar. We have been bullish on that. But see, again, I'm saying कि ये हम again मैं बोल रहा हूँ, sorry, कि inflation की बात हम इसलिए कर रहे हैं because सब बोल रहे हैं. आपने 2 महीने पहले सोचा होता कि रूबल will be the best performing currency? You know, give me an answer to that. आपने बोला रशिया यूक्रेन क्राइसिस हो गई है. Why is ruble appreciating against all the currencies in the world? There has to be a reason, right? उसका कोई बात नहीं करता. You know, again, it's sensational करने के लिए ठीक है. But I'm saying, see, मनीष सर ने एक बहुत अच्छा बात बोला कि which are the companies जहाँ पे disruption हो रहा है और then capital पैसा बन रहा है तो और भी लोग आएंगे. There are many sectors or sub-sectors in India जहाँ पे 50-60 साल हो गए हैं, कंपनीज दोबारा बन नहीं सकती उस सेक्टर में. Talk about manufacturing, right? There are bearing companies, only 3 bearing companies in the world since last 60 years. And you see the track record of the companies for the last 60 years. Anything which is moving will need a bearing. Look at their, whatever way you want to look at the balance sheet, cash flows, promoters, anything of those companies. Look at the abrasive companies. There are only 2 abrasive companies in India. कभी और कोई आ नहीं सकता उसमें. The thing is, it's not just fashionable. मगर ये आपने FMCG की बात की, पामा की बात की, ये फैशनेबल है ज्यादा, बिकॉज ठीक है हम लोग इनकी बात करते हैं, इनके स्टॉक प्राइसेस ऊपर नीचे ज्यादा होते रहते हैं, बट ये थोड़ी सी बोरिंग कंपनीज है, इन पे कोई दिखता नहीं है. ओके, आई कैन टेल यू पंप में कितना कंपनीज है इंडिया में, 3 पंप में कंपनीज है, और भी कंपनीज नहीं है. डिफेंस में देयर हैज टू बी ओनली मिसाइल कंपनी. ओके, इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल में इट इज ओनली 1 मेजर कंपनी इन इंडिया. सो आई एम सेइंग, कल को अडानी, अंबानी, चाइना कोई भी बोल दे, इट इज नॉट इजी फॉर देम टू से कि मैं कल को ये कंपनी बनाता हूँ. या सीमेंट में उन्होंने ले लिया, बट दीज आर वेरी टेक्नोलॉजी हैवी sectors where it is not easy for anyone to say कि चलो ठीक है, I will go, and the person who is buying, they will say they will cut the supply chain from this guy and move it to someone else. So as I said, sector wise, if you ask me, I continue to buy manufacturing, defense, electrical vehicles, green energy, जहाँ पे हमें दिखता है कि अगले 5-10 साल का फ्यूचर है इन सेक्टर्स का, और कंपनीज ने कैपेक्स किया हुआ है. सो वी आर वेटिंग कि हम भी पैसा टर्न बढ़ने दो, ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज बढ़ने दो, ROC बनेगा. It just has to be simple. But if I think about it कि मुझे इन्फ्लेशन के कारण ऐसा करना है, हाँ इन्फ्लेशन रहेगा तो रहेगा, but these are the guys who have proven for the last 20 years how to handle businesses. You look at the results. अभी आप इन्फ्लेशन का बोल रहे हो, Q4 के I can give you so many names who have done excellently well in terms of even high inflation environment. So उनको क्यों करना आता है? Because the management understands how to run a business. So be with the guys who knows how to understand a business. So it has to be very stock specific, and it has to be only because if you feel कि यार ये sector में opportunity बड़ा है. See, how do you make money? See, you keep on talking, or everyone keeps on talking about कि suppose करो RJ ने पैसा Titan में बनाया, या हीरो में किसी ने बनाया पैसा, DVs में किसी ने पैसा बनाया, तो हम लोग 15-20 के एग्जाम्पल देते रहते हैं. See, you only make money if the sector grows huge, and the guy or the company where you're putting money, he also grows his market share in the expanding sector. Like today there is opportunity in lot of spaces जहाँ पे आपको दिखेगा that the sector can grow by 20% also for the next 5 years. बाकी giving an example, sugar क्या होता था, बाकी 50 करोड़ लीटर की ethanol नहीं होता था, आज 300 करोड़ हो गया लास्ट 3 साल में, हम 1000 करोड़ लीटर की बात कर रहे हैं. There are many sectors I can talk about. बाकी EVs, we are like what 70 lakh passenger vehicles, we are only selling 1 lakh EV. Government is saying 50% EV, passenger vehicles are EV होना चाहिए. So you're talking about 1 lakh going to 20, 25 or 30 lakh. Okay, imagine the kind of sector which is there. So many sectors, but have to be very stock specific and थोड़ा सा लंबा सोचना.
Yes,
I can add one thing here.
Please.
yes.
Taking a cue from what Chawla ji said as well as what Varinder said, there is one sector which I think which are the dynamics जहाँ पे काफी improve हो रहे हैं, और अगले 5 साल के लिए एक आम इन्वेस्टर उसमें as a basket लेके बैठ सकता है, which is a MNC manufacturing. And why I say so, which Varinder said, and it resonates well also, is अगर आप देखें पूरे यूक्रेन क्राइसिस का सबसे बड़ा पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट आया है इंडियन कंपनीज पे, because the cost of energy or the cost of production for European companies have gone up substantially. यूरोप पहले ही एक सिक मैन था, आज वो एक डेड मैन हो गया फ्रॉम अ कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. नेचुरल गैस का प्राइस अगर हम उसको कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो वो ऑयल कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं $200 पर बैरल में, जो हम $100 पर बैरल कर रहे हैं. So ऐसे में मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करना वहां पे बड़ा मुश्किल काम हो जाता है, और मोस्ट ऑफ दीज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, जिस कंपनी का भी इंडिया के अंदर कोई भी लेआउट है, उन्होंने ऑलरेडी एक्सपेंड कर रखा है या उन्होंने ऑलरेडी कैपेक्स कर रखा है, उनके लिए आउटसोर्सिंग इतना इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाएगा कि इंपेरेटिव हो जाएगा उनके पास, क्योंकि इंडिया का कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन 10-15% का यूरोपियन कंपनी से अब 25% या 30% नीचे हो जाएगा. और अगर आप ये भी देखें, हाँ, सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि अगर एमएनसी जिसने भी अगर एक्सपोर्ट के बारे में कुछ भी बात की है और उन्होंने अपने इंटेंशन दिखाए हैं, that is going to be a theme which can become a very big theme. And जो वीरेंद्र भी बोल रहे थे कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग आएगा, वो इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के अलावा मैं ये सोचूंगा एमएनसी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के लिए, क्योंकि उनका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन और ब्रांड नेम ऑलरेडी है, that can have far bigger edge versus the other ones.
Sir, just to add, okay, with your permission, मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा सबको, अगर आप जाके घर पे ना टीवी मत देखिए, और थोड़े से SKF, केनामेटल, क्राफ्टमैन, ABB, सिमेंस, इनका कॉल सुन लीजिए चौथे क्वार्टर का. then आपको समझ आएगा कि actually क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में और किस तरीके से how things are shaping up in terms of the future growth. There are companies who are telling that we have not seen this kind of, the order book has been the highest ever for some of the names which I mentioned. Highest ever. You talk to them, they'll tell you that there is a 5-year, 10-year opportunity, but itna bada opportunity we have never seen in our life, in this. They understand inflation here, but they know how to cut costs, they know how to rationalize things. So if you go back, just hear the con calls, it's readily available on YouTube. Google kar lo, YouTube pe chale jao. You will understand how things are so different versus what you are being told on TV and what actual things are on the ground.
Right. And in fact, adding to that, true that when these sectors are being discussed, there is positivity around some sectors, and then there are some sectors which are not performing that great as of now. So I would like to ask Mr. Arora, what would be your advice for any new investor who is there out at the first time, given the other scenarios that he's looking around? What would be your advice to that new investor, Mr. Arora?
Asher, as Manish and Varinder were talking about the sector specific, sector, as far as sector is concerned, it's a very broad and very vague term. As they rightly said, we have to go for the companies, not for the sector. Good sector may have bad companies and bad sector may have good companies. So if I just watched that there's one sector, healthcare sector, where the good companies have they had made capex in last couple of years in a huge way. In hospital companies, they have created more infrastructure as far as the capacity is concerned. So, and also, in addition to this, India is emerging as a medical treatment destination for the world. So I think if we focus on good healthcare company, hospital company, who have already invested a lot of money in the capex, they are going to be good companies in the coming years. The other sector which I feel is the defense sector, because our allocation in our union budget is huge in as far as defense, and now with the Modi government more focused on Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative. A lot of money is going into this sector, and we have to focus on some good companies in the defense sector. Here, I would like to share one more practical experience of the sector, the companies in the one sector, that is steel. In 1988, I was handling two companies who were dealing into the steel sector. One was Ludhiana-based Thappar Ispat, and another was Hisar-based Jindal Steel, Jindal Strips Limited. In those days, I applied for a short-term loan for both the companies with LIC and UTI. To my surprise, and also, if I look back, the applications of Thappar Ispat were approved by the management of UTA as well as the LIC, and that of Jindal Strip were rejected. That means the financial figures of those two companies were at those stage that one was accepted by the institution, the others were not. And this over a period of these, say, 35 years, 34 years, you look, Thappar Ispat, because the management, here the quality of management, how they manage the companies, it is evident. So now Jindal is, they are four brothers, and at what level they've reached, everybody knows. So sector is immaterial. You have to focus on the companies working, the management, or the financial figures of the companies are going on. So as far as your question, the question is that what is the advice to the new investors? My advice would be that first, the retail investor, because they are not exposed or they don't understand the financial figures as the expert understands. My advice would be that first they should have some good financial advisor, the equity advisor. Secondly, the money should be put in this market gradually by a systematic way. You can have a systematic investment plan for a good company, good stocks, as well as for the good mutual fund also. So they will perform, of course. And in addition to this, they should not, concentrate or put everything in one basket. The asset allocation should be proper. They should put some money into real estate, some money into, say, gold or debt bonds, etc. This is and also the investment should be scattered, not in one go. They should put in over a period of time. So this is my advice.
Right. Actually, in fact, Mr. Arora, I think that will be totally correct to say that you need to have your personal advisor, a systematic or staggered way of making your portfolio and your asset allocation. Absolutely. Mr. Chawla, any add-on to what a new investor who's out there in the first time in the market, any words of wisdom from you?
Yeah, see, when you say new investor, I'm more keen to answer this because then you are addressing a new class of investors, which is maybe new millennials and the present generation. I think the first thing is that knowledge is key. So the India story is going to stay. Now we are talking of China +1, PLI, PPP, whatever, So we have all talked about why India is a good destination now. But having said that, we have discovered in the recent past by talking to about as a surveys to a lot of our investors, new and old, is that people do not have a portfolio and a goal approach to their investments. So their all investments should be pegged to some goal, some milestone, some yield, some return, some risk appetite should be measured in that. We have developed a scientific way to do that for people as far as our training is concerned, as well as the advisory is concerned. Now, see, a lot of people who are getting into the markets want to become traders. Now, my advice to traders is don't be doing it full time. Do it as a part time. Learn it slowly. I mean, because it's very fascinating to make 2-3% a month, and that is what people advertise. A lot of people do that, but the youngsters get trapped. They are very impatient anyways. The youngsters are impatient anyways. Now, new investors could also be people who are sitting on FDs, and they are not making a post-tax. The returns are too low. So their expectation is actually to make about 10-12% at least, if not more. Now, this class of investors has to look at all the asset classes or products which have been offered, especially tailor-made, like PMSs are there, REITs are there, and the mutual funds. So when we talk of a planned approach, portfolio approach, and this asset allocation and the review of the portfolios, this will come very handy for them as an approach. See, again, if you want to do something, to my advice also is that everybody, young and old, should study at least one company a month, if not more. Do it for 6 months. Ask the experts if you can. You will understand why this company is better than the others. Like Mr. Arora said, how managements, can make a difference in long term. So whether it is governance, whether it is board structure, whether it's asset allocation decisions, all these, when you live with the company for months or look at the history, you'll come to know what went wrong for them and what went. And maybe for many companies, despite the environment outside, not having been able to control those factors, they've done very well. And the key is all these things like management, governance, asset allocation, key decisions. That's my take.
Thank you, Mr. Chawla. Manish, I would like to also hear your views on suggestions to a new investor.
So there is a flood and influx of investors in the last 4 or 5 years, and now we have a 10 crore demat account and maybe 5.5 to 6 crore of a unique investors. And many people have taken investing as a part-time activity or full-time activity. And so, as Chawla was saying, that there are word of caution that it does excites. The investing is like a video game. It does excites. I was having this discussion with Varinder that one of the culprits of this widespread investing is also about the NSE giving a terminal to everywhere and every pocket and the corner of India. I think, and also as a television, which Varinder has said, you have to have a word of caution that investing is a serious business. You have to do a lot of more research, lot of more details. But luckily, I can tell you, since I started my career, जब मैंने 20 साल पहले करियर शुरू किया था, तो कोई भी डेटा लाने के लिए बड़ी मेहनत करनी पड़ती थी. एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स भी बड़ी मुश्किल से मिल जाती थी. उसके बाद इन्फोसिस वाला एरा आया, इन्फोसिस वाली रिपोर्ट्स मिलने लग गई, हाई क्वालिटी एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स मिलने लग गई. और आज जो डेटा अवेलेबल है, वो नए इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए बहुत इजी कॉस्ट पे, सस्ते कॉस्ट पे बहुत सारा डेटा अवेलेबल है. एंड उस एंगल से आपको कई सारे रिसर्च बेस्ड इनपुट मिल सकते हैं, वीडियोस हैं, ट्यूटोरियल्स हैं, आपको मास्टर ट्रस्ट और कई लोग भी जो हेल्प करेंगे आपको किसी भी वे में. सो मैं ये बोलता हूँ काफी इन्फॉर्म डिसीजन ले सकते हैं नए इन्वेस्टर्स वर्सेस लुकिंग एट द टेलीविजन और गेटिंग शॉर्ट टर्म ग्रेटिफिकेशन. मैं यही बोलना चाहूंगा कि आज इन 20 सालों में जो मैंने सी सॉ चेंज देखा है, वो सी सॉ चेंज देखा है डेटा का. और बहुत फ्रैक्शन ऑफ कॉस्ट में आपको डेटा देखने को मिल सकता है, आप जजमेंट ले सकते हैं, ओवर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम एक अच्छे इन्वेस्टर बन सकते हैं. ये भी एक प्रोसेस है. आप ये मत सोचिए कि मैंने आज इन्वेस्टिंग शुरू की है या आज मैंने अकाउंट खोला है तो मैं आज इन्वेस्टर बन गया. ये एक लंबा प्रोसेस है. कई गलतियां करते हैं हम लोगों ने कई गलतियां की है शुरू में, और भी गलतियां करेंगे ओवर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. बट यही देखना है कि वो वाली गलती जो पिछली बार की थी वो इस बार नहीं करें. यही हम लोग देख सकते हैं. सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज कि आप काफी रिसर्च करें, डेटा देखें और थॉटफुल जजमेंट्स लें. शॉर्ट टर्म के अंदर या पैनिक वाले डिसीजन मेकिंग नहीं करें.
Okay, all right. Thank you. This takes me to my next question. As Varinder was only.
I can add one line to this, okay, please, if you allow me.
Yeah, please.
You know, मैं रोज सोचता हूँ मैं पतला हो जाऊँ, ठीक है ना. और ऐसा लगता है कि यार वो पतला होने के लिए कि सुबह वॉक करना पड़ेगा, जिम जाना पड़ेगा, कुछ करना पड़ेगा. बट अगर मैं सोचूं कि सुबह उठ के पराठे खाऊंगा, रात को खाना खाऊंगा, ये करूंगा वो करूंगा, तो पतला कैसे हो जाऊंगा. सो स्टॉक मार्केट में सबको पैसा कमाना है, पर पढ़ाई किए बिना अगर हम सोचे कि हम लोग पैसा कमा लेंगे, वो पॉसिबल नहीं है. सो सिंपल थिंग इज कि अगर आपको कुछ नहीं करना और आपको पढ़ना नहीं है, तो कृपा करके ईटीएफ्स में पैसा डाल दो. ईटीएफ सबसे सस्ते प्रोडक्ट्स हैं इंडिया में. बाकी 5-10 पैसे का कॉस्ट पड़ेगा आपको, किसी को पैसा देने का जरूरत नहीं है. आज आपको नैस्डैक का ईटीएफ भी मिलता है, बैंकिंग ईटीएफ भी मिलता है, निफ्टी ईटीएफ भी मिलता है. आप आराम से कभी भी पैसा डालो, निकालो, जो करना है करो. सबसे सस्ता प्रोडक्ट है ईटीएफ इंडिया में. बट अगर आपको लगता है कि हाँ भी आप ये वो लेफ्ट राइट करते रहोगे, गेम्स खेलते रहोगे, तो ट्रस्ट में पैसा जाएगा ही जाएगा. आज नहीं जाएगा, कल जाएगा, पर वो जाना ही जाना है. सो पतला होना है तो थोड़ा वॉक करो या एक्सरसाइज करो.
होने का एक योगा आसन में वरिंदर बहुत सिंपल है.
ना.
वो आप करते रहो तो उससे आप बहुत पतले जल्दी हो जाओगे.
सर मुझे बहुत पहले सिखा दिया था किसी ने कि मार्केट में पैसा कमाने का एक ही तरीका है कि गलतियां कम करो. See, every time everyone thinks कि क्या लेना है. मैंने कभी नहीं सुना किसी से क्या नहीं लेना है. एंड पैसा वहीं जाता है. हम लोग फॉरेंसिक एनालिसिस भी कराते हैं सर कंपनीज का जहां हम इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. यू नो वी मेक इट अ पॉइंट ताकि we don't go with the flow, because जब तेजी चलती है तो सबको ऐसा लगता है मैं शिवाजी. So I'm again saying it's the basic principles which are not being followed, और नहीं होंगे तो इसीलिए तो सर इंडिया में हम बोलते हैं ना 2-3% लोग पैसा कमाते हैं. But it's very simple, and that is why everyone does not make money, because we don't control that. So simple point, नया इन्वेस्टर अगर आपको कुछ नहीं करना, पढ़ना भी नहीं है, आपके पास टाइम नहीं है, तो कृपा करके ETFs देख लीजिए. Lot of ETFs are there, and it's a very simple transparent mechanism जो आप follow कर सकते हैं.
Right. And also, Varinder, since our initial discussion, you mentioned that if everything like a ruble is right now with the Ukraine and Russian crisis, but the ruble is still up. Similarly, I would just like to ask from you that what is your take on the rupee prospect, and if this depreciation is overplayed? Its depreciation in the current markets is just overplayed.
I'm again seeing Akansha, I'm not a macro guy. You know, I only focus on which are the companies which can show me 15-20% growth in terms of sales. And I tend to believe a lot of management who has shown me capabilities over the last 20 years that they know how to control the cost in order to maintain their margins. I can tell you that there are many companies which will still grow at least 15% in terms of sales. Because there is an opportunity, your defense sector, there is a 10 lakh crore opportunity. You look at numbers from whatever, HAL, BDL, you will BL, you will see, कौन सुन लो उनका सब पता चल जाएगा आपको. So rather to focus there. But you tell me, कल को उठ के अगर रशिया यूक्रेन का वॉर बंद हो गया और क्रूड 80 पे आ गया, then you will say, अरे inflation is gone. 2 दिन में सब कुछ बदल जाएगा. But it is not that we have not lived in a high inflation environment. Yes, okay, inflation will be there, but I'm saying that there are companies who know how to sustain it. Na? So even if you think of allocating, say okay, hypothetically, 10% into say defense, and then you say, okay, again, I'm talking and stressing on the point of allocation. And if you think that, okay, for the next few years, I want to make a portfolio जहाँ पे मुझे 10% डिफेंस का रखना है और मुझमें मुझे 3 कंपनीज रखना है, मतलब कि 3% आपको एक कंपनी में रखना है या 3.5% रखना है. You start with 1%. You don't put all your money right now. आप धीरे धीरे स्टार्ट करो ना. क्योंकि कल को आपको लगता है कि यार अगला क्वार्टर देखता हूँ, अगले क्वार्टर में मार्जिन खराब आ गया, स्टॉक नीचे आ गया, तो फिर आधा % ऐड करो. आप घर बना रहे हो, क्योंकि ये क्या जल्दी है कि एक ही दिन में सारा पैसा लगा देने का है. What is a rush? Retail people have this huge advantage that you can invest your money, your style आराम से. तो जल्दी क्या है, आपका पोर्टफोलियो 6 महीने में बन जाएगा, तो अच्छी बात है. तो आज ही सारा पैसा क्यों लगाने का है? सो यू वांट टू वॉच कि इन्फ्लेशन का कितना खतरा होता है इन कंपनीज को, अगले क्वार्टर में डाल दो रिजल्ट देखने के बाद.
All right. Thanks, Varinder. Manish, we'll come to you with the same question. What is your take on the rupee prospect and currently with the depreciation? Is it overplayed?
बहुत हिलेरियस आंसर है मेरे पास आकांक्षा की. रूपी डेप्रिशिएट ही नहीं हुआ है. रूपी डेप्रिशिएट हुआ है डॉलर के सामने, रूपी एप्रिशिएट हुआ है यूरो के सामने, रूपी एप्रिशिएट हो गया है येन के सामने. अगर आप देखें डॉलर और रूपी का पोजीशन, तो रूपी हैज डेप्रिशिएटेड ऑन अ 1 year बेसिस सम क्लोज टू 4%, 4.5-5% डॉलर के सामने. और जो जापानीज येन है वो 16% गिरा है डॉलर के सामने. आप यूरो को देखेंगे तो वो 15% गिर गया है. तो ये यूक्रेन वॉर की जो कैजुअलिटी है वो जापान पे बिकॉज ऑफ द लूज मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, वो यूरोप पे बहुत ज्यादा आई है. इनफैक्ट रूपी का जो मार्जिनल डेप्रिसिएशन है डॉलर के सामने, वो हमें ये बता रहा है कि हमारी स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ इकोनॉमी काफी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है, काफी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग रही है हमारी स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. सो उस एंगल से ये ओवर प्लेड, जैसे वरिंदर ने कई बार रेफरेंस दिया है कि मीडिया से आप कम सुने, सीएनबीसी के टिकर को कम देखें, उससे काफी फर्क पड़ता है हमारे माइंड पे. उसी एंगल से ये 77 हो गया, 78 हो जाएगा, 90 पे जा रहा है, 80 पे जा रहा है. किसी ने रिलेटिव डेप्रिसिएशन नहीं देखा है. जो वर्ड मैं देखता हूँ वो है रिलेटिव डेप्रिसिएशन, कि हमारी करेंसी ज्यादा डेप्रिशिएट हुई है क्या रिलेटिवली. तो अगर आप देखें तो जो मोटा मोटा नंबर मेरे दिमाग में है कि हमने 2 साल के बेसिस पे वी हैव जस्ट डेप्रिशिएटेड बाय 3% ऑन 2 year बेसिस, और 1 year के बेसिस पे 4% है हम करीब डेप्रिसिएशन. ये बहुत रिलेटिवली बहुत लेस है अगर हम वर्ल्ड की दूसरी इकोनॉमीज को अगर देखेंगे, और वो भी अगर डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमीज को देखेंगे. सो मेरे को कोई इसमें बड़ा मेरिट नजर नहीं आता कि रूपी के डेप्रिसिएशन से किसी को, मार्जिनल डेप्रिसिएशन से किसी को कुछ घबराना चाहिए. इनफैक्ट एक डेटा देखता हूँ जो मैं क्लोजली देखता हूँ, वो है कि रूपी का डेप्रिसिएशन चाइनीज करेंसी के सामने कितना हुआ है, एप्रिसिएशन या डेप्रिसिएशन. और वो मेरे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज वो हमारी एक्सपोर्ट कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस को बढ़ावा देता है या कमजोर करता है. और वहां पे रूपी हैज डेप्रिशिएटेड करीब क्लोज टू 9% ऑन अ 2 year बेसिस, जो अच्छा है इंडिया के लिए. आप ये समझ सकते हैं कि इंडिया का प्रोडक्ट 9% ज्यादा सस्ते में बेचा जा सकता है या ज्यादा रियलाइजेशन होगा वर्सेस चाइनीज कंपटीशन, अगर चाइना को भी वही प्रोडक्ट बेचना है. तो ये देखने का नजरिया है. आई एम नॉट वरीड अबाउट एनी काइंड ऑफ रूपी डेप्रिसिएशन, क्योंकि हमारा रिलेटिवली काफी कम डेप्रिशिएट हुआ है. और ये काफी हमारी इकोनॉमी की स्ट्रेंथ को बता रहे हैं कि इंडिया का जो पीएलआई स्कीम है आने वाले टाइम में, जो करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट है वो पीएलआई की वजह से कम बेटर हो सकता है, एक्सक्लूडिंग द ऑयल प्रॉब्लम, ये काफी बेटर हो सकता है.
Okay, so as per you, depreciation is definitely overplayed. Also, Mr. Chawla, if you would like to mention your views on the same.
No, I think Manish gave a very good, interesting twist to the topic, because he said, why only dollar? Talk about other currencies to rupee. I appreciate that, but still, because a lot of our imports are linked to dollars and a lot of international trade is linked to dollars. And this is important that people should know where dollar could go. But then again, it is linked to the inflation world over, the action that US is taking to, gobble back the dollars and increase the interest on bonds. And also, there is no interest being shown by the funds in emerging markets for the short term. So that is why also, because the dollar is not coming down. But since we have a large forex reserve, we are able to insulate that for a while. I mean, if we deplete more, then probably we'll not be able to hold on. But still the range could be 75 and 79.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chawla. As we come towards the end of the discussions and the questions that we had, I would quickly like to check with Mr. Arora. The legacy, this legacy of Master Trust has been built over a period of 37 years. What lies next for Master Trust as a group?
Before to this thing, because we had been talking about the stock market all through, I would like to share my one experience. I was sitting in Mumbai with one of my colleagues. So he said, "Yeah, share market में ना जिसका profit होता है वो भी खुश नहीं होता, जो जिसका loss होता है वो तो खुश होगा ही नहीं." मैं कहा यार प्रॉफिट होता है तो फिर क्यों नहीं खुश होता है, वो प्रॉफिट खुश होना चाहिए। वो कहता यार रात शाम को फिर रेट और बड़ा होता है, उसने 10 का लिया 100 का बेचा 120 हो गया रेट शाम को या अगले दिन, तो उसको खुशी नहीं होती। तो जो सैलरी पर्सन है कहता है सब महीने में एक दिन तो खुश होता है जिस दिन उसको सैलरी मिलती है 5th को या 6th को। तो हम प्रॉफिट भी कमा लेते हैं फिर भी हम खुश नहीं होते। तो the sum up of this session is that टारगेट आपको लेके चलना पड़ेगा, तभी आप खुश रहोगे। अदरवाइज तो आपके 10 रुपए के 20 हो गए तब भी खुश नहीं होगे, बिकॉज अगले दिन 25 हो जाए। सो टू द इन्वेस्टर, टू अवर पार्टनर्स, टू अवर customers, the message is that first you have to have your goals. As far as the summing up of say what lies ahead in the capital market as well as for the Master Trust, I think this country is growing. We have a very, very strong, stable government, which is very serious about the building up of manufacturing sector, defense sector, as well as the infrastructure sector. I think the future is quite bright. And since this company, which group which we are in, is also progressing along with the country. So I think the future is bright. As I earlier said, that our focus is on building a very strong, dedicated team. I would like to mention that average age of our core team is plus 20 years. So even sports staff I see in different offices are associated with us for more than 20, 25 years even. So that is the strength, and I propose to continue the same. For that, we have to create a better working condition, better working culture. Also, we propose, because the technology is now the dominating factor, I propose that, and we are doing effective steps to improve our technology so that it should be more customer friendly. In addition to that, we have very stable as well as long-term business associates with us also. People sitting in, say, Punjab, who are partnered with us for more than 25, even 30 years, Chandigarh, NCR, Bombay, and other part of the country. So our endeavor will be to continue to provide the best customer service, customer relationship. I see a very good future for the Master Trust with the help of our core as well as the whole team of Master Trust. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Arora. And also, Mr. Chawla, if you would like to add on something.
Yeah, I first, I would always like to thank Almighty to give us this opportunity, collective responsibility and opportunity to all our fellow colleagues and business partners and advisors to serve this nation on a service which is going to touch every life. It is a capacity to make people very comfortable in their financial journey. So as we look back, we have gone through 4 different decades, and we have been able to adapt to what is required. So we are a very flat organization. We don't have too much bureaucracy and hierarchy, and we are hands-on, all the people. The 2 very important things I think which have happened in the recent past, which take us to a stronger future, is of course the upgradation and swift adoption of the technology. And we are customizing technology for customers, which is very rare in this industry. Being a flat organization, we are very close to our business partners and our patrons. And that's again very important in this industry. The 3rd important thing I would say is the induction of the next leadership in a swift way in the last 10 years. Whether at director level or SVP level, we have now maybe very good brains, hardworking people who connect very well with millennials and the new generation, and they know what the client wants. So if we are able to maintain, as we are training everybody to do that, is maintain trust, transparency, and client first approach. There are miles to go because market is growing in number of clients who are coming into the market, new investors, also the money that is coming to the markets. A lot of money which sits in banks will come into the markets for market-linked products. So we see a very great future, and we have been champions of niche market operations, and now we have a portfolio of services that we offer, and we are coining new products. So I think we have a great future. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mr. Chawla. I would agree to every pointer that you have mentioned, that we are very well equipped and at the same time very technologically advanced, because these days technology has become one key aspect and one key factor for beat any industry. Digitalization has just come in and set its foot. All set to create many more milestones in the upcoming future. I have been poured in with some question and answers, but some questions, but because of the paucity of time, I would like to take one quick question. This is by one of the listeners. He says that as we are talking about the 5 trillion economy of India for the next, in the upcoming 8 to 10 years, which is by 2027, 2028 as projected. So will it be possible that the growth without the construction and infrastructure companies? So what is your opinion on that? These sectors of construction and infrastructure, how they are set to grow, and will it be possible without these sectors? So Manish, if you can please help, please help us with the answer.
Sure. So as rightly, the question itself has an answer. This won't be possible without the construction and the sector, without the construction and infrastructure company sector. Only the problem with these companies are that you have overly leveraged balance sheets, and you have the companies working in the silos. The company in South may not have a capability to work in the North, so you don't have a pan-India company except one or few of them. And the experience of the investors over the period of time has not been great. Most of these companies in one boom and bust cycles have busted. So you have to very, very, very choosy in which infrastructure company you wish to invest in. And there are various other proxy plays of infrastructure companies like a cement companies or a steel companies, and which are driven by not only local dynamics, but also from the global dynamics. So there's no one straight answer. Answer is yes, this is the need of the hour, and this government has shown all the interest and commitment to make sure that India becomes at least the infrastructure deficit of India gets corrected. And which is there has been no cost cutting on those things. And in each and every forum, Prime Minister has again reiterated that no changes will happen, at least on the infrastructure spending point of view. And this is how the NDA mindset has also worked. So these one or two companies would come up significantly in this, but new other sectors, allied sectors, will also come up in this. So you have to be choosy in this infrastructure. It is not one brush you can paint with all the companies together.
Correct. Thank you for that. And since we are running slightly out of time, we would wrap it up here. Thank you so much, panel, for a very interesting.
Sorry, Akansha, just please add a disclaimer. I'm sure Manish also may want that, whatever we have discussed, I am fully invested, fully biased, and advised as well to all stocks or sectors, whatever we discussed. So do please consult whoever you want to consult as a financial advisor before taking any action. This disclaimer is very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with this.
Just 1 minute, Kansha.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
On the behalf of Master Trust Group, I would like to thank Mr. Manish Bhandari and Varinder ji.
Thank you, sir.
For sparing their valuable time. And I wish all of you best of luck and wish that you all stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and congratulations to the entire Master Trust team and everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And Manish ji, learned a lot from you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manish.
Always a pleasure connecting with you all. And thank you to all the attendees. In case of any questions which couldn't be answered, please do reach out to us through your respective RMs or through our website, www.mastertrust.co.in. With that, we would like to conclude this webcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.